family as well. When your family loses a loved one, we're here to help. We're Brown Funeral Home in Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson. We're here when you need us.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
And a very pleasant good evening. We welcome you into this Friday edition of Miller Time. Matt Crawford here with you in studio. Matt Miller joining us momentarily. He is out at Marcus Field on the campus of Washington High School, where later this evening we will bring you high school football as the Martinsburg Bulldogs try to make it 34 in a row over the Washington Patriots. Matt, good evening.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Not bad. It's a little warm out here, at least in the press box. Outside with a little bit of a breeze blowing. It's going to be a beautiful evening for some high school football.
I think that's a law. I think no matter how cold it is, press boxes you have to sweat in.
Yeah, it might be. I think it's just a circulation issue.
That may be it, but I know it can be we've been doing high school football games or high school baseball games in March, and we've been in press boxes, and I've still been sweating.
Well, it's been, I'm trying to think of whether it's been kind of a warm spring. It was a little bit of a wet spring, and it's been an even wetter summer. So let's wait and see what winter brings in store. Maybe we'll long for some of the warmer and drier weather.
Well, Matt, it's a high school football Friday night for 4 different teams around the Eastern Panhandle, but not the first night of high school football for our EPAC teams. Hedgesville got the week started at Preston yesterday in the Buckwheat Bowl, part of the Buckwheat Festival, and Hedgesville won by a few points.
72 to be exact.
Yeah, it was not, and that's 72 points, not taking anything away from a 72-point game for Hedgesville, but I think you'd agree with me in saying that was not a very cleanly played 72-point ball game.
No, not at all. I mean, Hedgesville ended up with over 200 penalty yards. The two teams combined had nearly 300 penalty yards. There were some turnovers, 3, in fact, for Hedgesville. They did force 5 turnovers, though, and so you got to give them credit for the way that they played defensively. Held Preston to negative 18 yards, according to head coach Joey Urish, as we caught up with him after the game. And so, you know, there were certainly bright spots, but at the same time, you know, I think it's good when you can win by a margin like that and then get finished and go, guys, we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to some of the opponents that we're going to play next, because they've got the Musselman-Appleman and the Martinsburg Bulldogs waiting in the wings.
Well, you mentioned you got a chance to catch up with Hedgesville head coach Joey Urish after that win yesterday. Let's hear from the head coach and see how he thought his team played yesterday.
I'm glad it's over with. We can move on to the next week. The rain kind of hindered what we wanted to do offensively, but defensively, to hold them to negative 18 yards overall total offense, I think we did our job defensively, and those guys played a heck of a ball game.
How about the way that your offense was able to overcome? You had some mistakes, some things that didn't go your way, touchdowns called off the board, and yet you still found a way to score.
Yeah, it's been happening to us all year, and I can't fault the kids for being aggressive, but they got to understand when the right time to do some of those things are, and you know, blocking the back here and there kills you, and the hole kills you. So hopefully we fix that and plumb that up before the next 2 weeks, man, because it's going to kill us if not.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
But 200 yards of penalties. I mean, and some of those penalties you look at and go, okay, it's a wet field. Maybe you're going to get the occasional hold because your foot's sliding around and you just don't want your quarterback to get sacked. But I know you and I were out there calling that game yesterday, and some of those penalties, you and I looked at each other and kind of scratched our head and went, why is that necessary in a game that at one point was 55-0, or in a game that obviously Hedgesville was the better football team? You had to just look at that and go, and I'm sure looking at film either today or at some point tomorrow, Coach Urish is going to say the same thing. Those are dumb penalties that, even though you're winning by a huge margin, when you play a Musselman, when you play a Martinsburg, you can't have those penalties.
Yeah, that is certainly the conversation that will be had, because you saw 4 touchdowns taken off the board. Now, against a Preston, the Eagles were still able to march that right down and end up getting that touchdown that was called back earlier by a penalty. But against a team like a Martinsburg or a Musselman, you may not have that opportunity. If you make that penalty that calls that touchdown back, you may not score later in that drive.
One thing that we can say for sure, though, is that Hedgesville has athletes on the offensive and defensive side of the football. The wideouts for Hedgesville are just absolutely amazing. With Niger Smith and Malachi Brown in the slots, you have Hunter Cohen, Devin Heath. And on the defensive side, that front seven was absolutely incredible yesterday. So they have good athletes, but you cut down on the penalties, and they're going to be a very dangerous football team.
Yeah, they've got size along both the offensive and defensive front line. They've got linebackers that can come up and fill the holes and make tackles. They've got that defensive secondary that now has 12 interceptions through 6 games on the season, led by the safety in Niger Smith, who picked off his 5th pass yesterday. So, yeah, you look at that defense, and they have certainly been very solid. And you look at an offense that's been very balanced with well over 200 rushing yards and passing yards in a game. If they can clean up those penalties and those types of mistakes, yeah, this is a very good football team that could maybe go a long way.
And, Matt, one person that stands out to me, and I'm sure you're going to say or agree with what I'm about to say, one person that stands out and I think is going to be an extremely good football player in the Eastern Panhandle and even across the Mountain State is sophomore quarterback Owie Ash.
I'm going to disagree with you. Now, come on.
Not.
I was going to say, are you kidding me? How could I not agree with you? Yeah. I mean, for being a sophomore, he's very heads up. Now, he made one of those young throws yesterday that you looked at and went, oh, man, that's one that he's got to eat and maybe not try to force that football, especially trying to throw that wet football on a sloppy day. So you're still seeing what you would expect to see, some young mistakes, but at the same time, he makes up for them with his athleticism, his ability to move around and make plays with his feet as well as with his arm.
And the 72 points is impressive on its own, but to do it in the absolutely atrocious conditions that Hedgesville did it yesterday, that's a team that's going to be dangerous come later in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you've got a game plan, a kind of a way that you play, a style, if you will, right? And you're going to go out and make every effort to play that style, whether you're in the rain or whether you're in the sunshine. And Coach Urish did say that it affected their game plan. They weren't able to do some of the things that they wanted to do. But one thing they did do, they got the football to the senior Anthony Fortune, 6'4", 355. That was a fun touchdown.
That was awesome. He got 2 carries on that drive from inside the 20.
He did, yep. Able to get it down to the 1 and then punch it in from there.
Again, Hedgesville 72-0 over Preston. That was yesterday afternoon. Hedgesville has won 4 in a row. They are now 5-1, while Preston falls to just 1-5. All right, let's look at some of the games going on tonight. We'll touch on Martinsburg a little bit later on in the show. We'll hear from defensive coordinator Buddy Hessen and Special Forces coach Britt Sherman. But something I think we should talk about real quick is the streak they're on right now. 33 in a row, and odds are going to make it 34 in a row after this evening.
Yeah, I mean, Martinsburg is heavily favored in this one. They're 5-0 with that winning streak. Washington is going through some growing pains. I'm looking at the Washington roster right now that has 42 players on it. 6 are seniors, pardon me, and 7 are juniors. That's just 13 upperclassmen. But what you really look at and get is last year's roster had only 3 juniors and 3 sophomores, as it was very heavily dominated by seniors and then freshmen. So even those 13 upperclassmen don't have a lot of playing experience. And so this is a young, growing, learning Patriot football team that, may very well take some lumps here today. So Martinsburg has a chance to pick up win number 34 in a row, and that means they would be undefeated going into a matchup against equally undefeated Sharando. They're on a bye this week, right in the middle of their season, off to a 5-0 start. So that sets up a huge showdown that, boy, if it lives up to what last year's was like, is going to be one great football game. Remember, Martinsburg got a field goal with about 27 seconds left to score a 31-28 win in that matchup last season.
The Dogs coming off a 42-20 win at Academy Park last week, while Washington fell 45-8 at Clark County last week. Washington has lost 31 of their last 34, All right. arguably the game, I shouldn't say arguably, this is the game of the week in the Eastern Panhandle. Musselman going out to Morgantown to take on the Mohegans.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is a big game. If Musselman can get the victory, they're going to get some bonus points as Morgantown picks up more wins throughout the course of the year, and they'll stay undefeated at 5-0, and that's going to keep Musselman right up there in the top of those WVSSAC standings. And so a huge game for Musselman, because right after that, they've got Hedgesville, and then at the end of the season, they've got Martinsburg before they close out against Preston. So some big games coming up for Musselman, meaning they need to get this one on the road.
Morgantown won last year's match of 39-29, and Musselman coming in with a nice little streak of their own. They've won 20 of their last 26.
Yeah, been playing good football. They've been in the playoffs and, looking to take that next step. They've made the playoffs. They've hosted a playoff game. Now it's time to get that victory and advance on to the quarterfinal round.
Spring Mills has dropped 2 in a row, including last week's game, 47-17 at the Rebels of South Hagerstown. They are back in Maryland tonight. They're taking on Boonesboro, who comes in at 2-2. That looks to be an intriguing matchup.
Well, and two teams that'll go about it in completely different ways. So Spring Mills is still going to try to spread you out and let Padmore Johnson, their quarterback, make plays with either his feet or his arm. Meanwhile, Boonesboro is going to line it up, and they're going to try to punch it down your throat and shorten the game. So we'll see which style prevails.
Boonesboro won last year's matchup 28-26, and closing it out with the Jefferson Cougars. They're on a bye this week and coming off a very tough loss last week at Kaiser, in which they had a multiple touchdown lead and lost it in the fourth quarter, losing 31-24. They are now losers of 16 in a row, and that's just not the game you want to go into the bye week off of.
No, not at all. But at the same time, I think Coach Hunter hit it well when we talked with him earlier in the week. Look, it's a time for everybody to reevaluate. Coaching staff will look and reevaluate what they've been doing. They'll reevaluate and see, are they kind of in a rut where they're running the same things at the same time, so teams are able to pick that up. What kind of changes do they need to make? And now's the time to make those changes and then attack the second half of the season.
All right, that's a look at what's going on around the Panhandle elsewhere tonight and what happened last night. We'll dive a little bit further into that Martinsburg game here at Miller Time. In our next segment, we'll hear from Buddy Hessen and Britt Sherman of the coaching staff of Martinsburg, and we'll dive into it a lot more in the pregame show at 6 o'clock and then game time at 7. We got to get in our first break. When we come back, we'll hear from the defensive coordinator and the Special Forces coach for the Martinsburg Bulldogs. This is Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR.
Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning is the place.
If you're a hard-working man or woman, you want to get the best selection and value that you possibly can. That's why you need to come see us today. We give you more for your money, and you know we're gonna
You work hard, and the folks at Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning will work hard to fix any heating or cooling problem. They have the newest and energy-efficient York heating and cooling systems. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning will beat any written price. Offers 24-hour service with free estimates and affordable financing. If you need help, call Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning, your York certified dealer, offering service you can trust for over 15 years. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning.
give you more for your money, and you know we're gonna do your way.
Where quality meets comfort. Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning. Call 304-260-5644.
I'm Scott Hansen with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It was an historic evening under the lights in Los Angeles Thursday night for Jared Goff and the Rams. The former Cal Bear racking up over 550 yards total offense and 6 scoring drives against a once-heralded Vikings defense. Goff set career highs in passing yards and touchdowns and passer rating. The Rams stay undefeated. Final score from the Coliseum, 38-31. Elsewhere, the Titans released Rashard Matthews on Thursday, a move he asked for and announced on Wednesday. Matthews said he was upset he wasn't playing. He only had 3 catches for 11 yards during the first 3 weeks. Eric Reed has a new NFL home. The Panthers announcing Thursday they've signed the former 49ers safety to a 1-year deal. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport is reporting it's worth $1 million and could reach close to $2 million with incentives. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Napa know-how. Right now, Mobil 1 Full Synthetic Motor Oil is $29.99 for a 5-quart jug. Its advanced formula provides maximum sludge protection, defending your engine like a catcher defends home plate. So, get top-notch engine protection with the Mobil 1 Full Synthetic 5-quart jug for $29.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General States pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 9/30/18.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 2000 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 2000.
If you're a victim in a motor vehicle wreck or injured due to another person's fault, at Ferretti Law Office, we get to work protecting your rights and getting you the money you need and deserve. The insurance companies handling your claims want a fast and cheap settlement. Before making that mistake, call Ferretti Law Office at 264-8505 to discuss your claim for free. You did not choose to be injured, but your choice of law firms can make a difference. At Ferretti Law Office, we're here to help.
When you or a loved one needs medical attention, but the thought of spending several hours in a waiting room makes you feel even worse, did you know at WVU Medicine Urgent Care Centers you can get in line before you leave the house? WVU Urgent Care's online scheduling allows you to wait more comfortably at home or wherever is convenient. Simply visit our website at uhpurgentcare.com and select an arrival time. WVU Medicine Urgent Care with 3 convenient locations in Charlestown, Inwood, and now open in Spring Mills.
And welcome back into this Friday edition of Miller Time. Matt Crawford here with you in studio. Matt Miller out in Charlestown at Washington High School preparing for the Washington-Martinsburg game set to kick off at 7 p.m. tonight. 6 o'clock pregame. We will take you there right after Miller Time. All right, let's talk some Martinsburg football. Matt, where do you want to get it started? With the impressive defense of Martinsburg, or do you want to go with Special Forces first, which has definitely improved over the last couple games?
Well, and it certainly helped to get Chris Catlett back kicking extra points. He hasn't kicked a field goal yet this year, but you know you've got that option when he's on the sideline after 2 weeks in which they had to call on others to try to work into that kicking game. It certainly made things a little bit tough. And then, of course, you got Ricky Barrett, who seems like he's blocking a punt, just about every game. They haven't had to punt the ball much, but when they have, Trey Sign has certainly done a nice job. The thing you're still waiting to see with the athletes that the Bulldogs have is a punt or kick return for touchdown. They've had some nice returns, but haven't quite been able to break one. So I'd say the Special Forces, certainly from that opening kickoff at the beginning of the year that got returned for a touchdown by Loudoun Valley, has certainly settled in. So let's start with them.
Let's do it. Let's hear from Britt Sherman, Martinsburg Special Forces coach.
Well, I was very pleased, especially with another block punt and the bounce that we got off that and been able to score at that time. I thought it was really pivotal. I thought we played pretty solid. We had a couple miscues on, some blocks on some punts and some stuff like that. But other than that, I thought we played really well in a pretty hostile environment against a good team.
They showed that muddle huddle and even tried that 2-point conversion out of that on their opening possession. Did you feel like you guys were well prepared for that?
Yeah, and I actually talked to some of their coaches about that after the game, and, that's something that they do, and they do it really well, and we were able to stop it on the first one, and then they didn't try anymore, so it was kind of nipping it in the bud, and the guys did a really good job. Dwayne got a hit on the quarterback, and everybody covered who they were supposed to, and he really couldn't even get the ball to him.
How much do you pick up on those types of things that other teams do, and you kind of go, maybe that's something we'll try?
You may see that in our repertoire here later on, but no, it's football is not any different than song lyrics or anything else. You just steal stuff from each other all the time, so it's something we'll look at.
Chris Catlett was back. You were obviously much more consistent in the extra points. How pivotal was that?
Very. I mean, when he's back and we have that rhythm and the snap's good, the hold's there, get those points, try to make that as automatic as we can. that puts pressure on teams, especially teams like them that, you know, wanted to go for 2 and don't get it. You know, if that game would have been over after that point, we win 7-6. So that's big.
What is it that you see in the Washington Patriots and the role that special teams will play?
I mean, they're young again, and you know, they do some good things. They do some good stuff with some onside kicks and some things like that. And you know, we'll have to prepare for them like we do anyone else.
Coach, good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Matt.
Special Forces coach Britt Sherman. All right, Matt, let's take a look at that defense that has been just absolutely lights out through the midpoint of this season.
Yeah, they have. Haven't given up a ton of rushing yards. In fact, last week, the 155 rushing yards for Academy Park was only the second time that a team through the first 4 games finished with positive rushing yards. -1 for Loudoun Valley, -7 for H.D. Woodson, -44 for Eastern. Spring Mills had 25 carries for 9 positive rushing yards, and then Academy Park went for 155. But that's a team that was averaging over 200 rushing yards a game. That was their bread and butter. They spread you out, and then that very shifty quarterback, along with a pretty good couple of tailbacks, they wanted to get the ground game established. Martinsburg really did a nice job to contain that, and then force 5 turnovers. That, to me, was the biggest thing. They were opportunistic, and that set them up to get the win.
Well, let's hear from the man in charge of them, defensive coordinator Buddy Hessen, getting it started with how they looked last week.
I thought we played well for the most part. Gave up some plays. Hats off to them, but some alignment issues. We went through, you know, a couple where we didn't tackle real well, but again, you know, maybe they had a little bit something to do with it with their athletes. But overall, I was real pleased with the way we played. We needed a game like that, and after some of the games we've had here recently, we needed, you know, the kind of gritty, you know, hard-fought game.
As you look at that lengthy run early in the ball game, was that a missed assignment?
It was actually 2 missed assignments, and then, you know, the third one just not being into the game the way they should have been. But we helped them out, and they were a good enough team. We didn't need to, you know, give them any extra help, you know.
You mentioned, you know, facing some adversity. How good was it to see your team be able to respond? You know, your offense gets you that lead, and you guys are then able to go out and make plays, forcing 5 turnovers.
It's going to happen during the season. I mean, everything is not going to go the way it's gone the first couple of weeks, and it's good to have to, you know, to have your back against the wall and, you know, face some tough situations to, you know, see how the kids respond. And I thought they responded well.
Can you pinpoint the reason for the 5 turnovers? What was it that you were able to take the ball away like you did?
Well, I mean, we were. And I preach, and we do a pursuit drill, you know, every defensive practice. They're trying to get as many. I always tell them, you know, when the camera stops, I want to see 11 hats, or you guys trying to get there, get in the picture frame. And it's just, you know, guys, you know, around the ball, poking it out, and the more guys around the ball, the more chance you'll have to recover, you know, fumbles and things like that.
Another elusive quarterback that you had to face. How tough was he?
Well, he was pretty good. I thought, you know, other than the long run he had in the second half, we did a fairly decent job. I think they only had like 80 yards in the second half, and 45 of those came on one play, which, again, we blew an assignment. And, again, the kid's pretty good as well. But, you know, we faced one, you know, for, 3 weeks in a row? Yeah, 3 weeks in a row we faced, you know, the same type of quarterback could run, could throw, and, you know, hopefully we don't see very many more of them, but, you know, you never know how it's going to go.
What is the challenge this week as you take on a Washington team that, you know, is right now undermanned?
Well, and nothing against Washington, but, you know, I tried to tell the kids we want to worry about us, you know, and I say it any week, but even more so this week. We won't worry about us. We want to get better, you know, because we got to see the big picture. You know, and we can't afford to, you know, step back and not play well, because, you know, Washington's going through some stuff, some hard times, and, you know, our kids can't say, okay, well, this is going to be an easy game, and not take it seriously, because we're not worried, you know, we're worried about the big picture. And so, you know, our kids so far doing what we want, so hopefully they'll continue.
Coach, good luck in this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Martinsburg defensive coordinator Buddy Hessen. All right, Matt, we got about 30 seconds left, but I'm not going to make you give me a score prediction, but 57-0 in favor of the Bulldogs last year. You envision a similar game this year?
Yeah, I certainly do. I think this is a case where, Martinsburg has a lot of respect for Coach Glenn Simpson and his staff. They're working hard down here. They're just young and undermanned at this moment in time, but Martinsburg will go out and have to do what they do. They'll get the win.
Pre-game at 6, kickoff at 7 p.m. We will be back with more Miller time after this.
CBS News special report. There will be a new FBI investigation into sexual abuse allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. That late afternoon word from the White House in the form of a short statement from President Trump that he has ordered the FBI to conduct a supplemental investigation to update Judge Kavanaugh's file. As the Senate has requested, he says, this update must be limited in scope, completed in less than a week. The Senate Judiciary Committee earlier voted along party lines to move the Kavanaugh nomination to a full Senate vote, but with a big but introduced by Arizona's Jeff Flake.
We ought to do what we can to make sure that we do all due diligence with a nomination this important.
By which he means by the FBI before he cast his crucial vote to confirm Kavanaugh. Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal.
A person who is innocent would want the FBI to investigate their claims and clear their name.
CBS News special report. I'm Tom Foti.
Local forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
Sweater and jacket weather setting up for us tonight into tomorrow morning as temperatures drop through the 60s this evening into the 50s late night. Forecast low back to about 53. Sunshine tomorrow. We warm up into the lower 70s by the end of the afternoon and repeat that performance for the daytime on Sunday. Monday it's sunny and warmer. Highs into the upper 70s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
It's Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Martinsburg, and that means great deals all over the lot, like 2018 Ram trucks with up to $12,500 off. Stop by and inquire about the no money down specials and no payments for 90 days. Yet other great deals like 2019 Dodge Grand Caravans from $26,900 or a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica for 0% APR plus $500 Chrysler Capital Cash. With over 300 trucks, SUVs, vans, and cars in stock, you'll find just what you're looking for during Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Kelly Island Road, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
NFL Week 4 is upon us. Doug Baldwin will finally play for Seattle. As for some of the players that are questionable, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Breida. This one just popped up. It's going to be a game-time decision. His quote was, "I've got to feel comfortable. It's a long season dealing with a knee injury." Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy. Those are the guys on the questionable list. As for players that will not be playing, Devontae Freeman, Jack Doyle, Olivier Vernon, Joe Mixon, and Giants have placed Jonathan Stewart on the injured reserve. Day one of the Ryder Cup has seen the Europeans take the lead, now up 5-3 heading into tomorrow. A total of 15 baseball games tonight. For all those scores and stories, head to NBCSportsRadio.com, and the NBA preseason starts tonight. I'm Keith Irizarry, NBC Sports Radio, NBCSportsRadio.com.
Come to Valley Guns 2 in Inwood for Smith & Wesson handguns like the MP 2.0 9mm full-size semi-automatic and the MP 2.0 compact. Or check out the Model 60 Pro Series Smith & Wesson revolver. For the ladies, there's the Smith & Wesson 380 Shield Easy. It's easy to load, easy to shoot, and easy to carry. See the full line of Smith & Wesson handguns at Valley Guns 2, Exit 5 off I-81 Inwood, West Virginia. Online at valleyguns2.com.
Hello, racing fans. Get set for the best of thoroughbred racing action Saturday, October 13th at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. West Virginia Breeders' Classic 32 features local favorites vying for a year-end championship. Bring your family and friends for an exciting night of gaming, fine dining, and 9 action-packed races for West Virginia-owned, bred, and trained thoroughbreds. Post time is 7 p.m. at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. That's Saturday, October 13th. Make your plans now.
And they're off in the West Virginia Breeders' Classic.
5:35 here in Martinsburg, West Virginia, Talk Radio WRNR Studios. I am Matt Crawford. Matt Miller out in Charlestown getting ready to call some high school football tonight. Martinsburg visiting the Washington Patriots. All right, Matt, it's the bottom of the hour. That can only mean one thing.
Thought you were about to say it's like the bottom of the 8th. I'm thinking the end of baseball season.
The Cubs are in the top of the 9th right now. They're playing the Cardinals. They're up 8-4, in case you're wondering.
Which is a big game.
Huge game.
If they win this, how much closer are they to wrapping it up?
They need to win out, basically. The Brewers are nipping at their heels, so I'm not going to feel comfortable unless they win out.
Oh, and you want to be hot going into the postseason, so why not?
Bottom of the hour, it's time for a look at tomorrow in sports history. Looking at the 29th of September, looking at events in sports history. Going back to 1913, Washington Senator Walter Johnson wins his 36th game of the season. 36, Matt.
Yeah, we don't have a 20-game winner in the Bigs this year, do we?
Do not. No, I think we have one.
Okay.
I think I remember. I forget who it is off the top of my head, but I think there is one 20-game winner this year. 1920, Babe Ruth sets the then single-season home run record at 54.
That's a lot, especially in that day and age.
Yeah. 1927, Babe Ruth ties his own record by hitting a grand slam in consecutive days. 1945, the Chicago Cubs clinch. There's a tongue twister for you. The NL pennant with a record of 98-56, 1945. Prior to 2016, the last time the Chicago Cubs had reached the World Series.
Any particular reason you brought that one up? Or?
No, I don't know anyone that will come to mind.
Huh?
1954, Willie Mays' famous over-the-shoulder catch of Vic Wirtz' 460-foot drive during Game 1 of the World Series. So the famous basket catch by Willie Mays was on tomorrow's date in sports history.
Say that one more time. What was the length of that
460.
Yes. See how big ballparks used to be?
And he wasn't even near the wall.
No, unlike Camden Yards and some of the ballparks of today where it looks like a pop fly and it goes out of the yard.
1968, Carl Yastrzemski, 305 was his batting average that year. He won his second straight batting crown, so he won in 67 and then again in 68. Greg Maddux in 1986 defeated Phillies pitcher Mike Maddux, the first time two rookie brothers had faced off.
Wonder what it was like in the household, Mom and Dad. Which one do you root for?
We're rooting for the Maddux boy out there. 1994, the first phase of the O.J. Simpson murder trial. The jury was selected. Gotta love the O.J. thing. That was an awesome.
If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Doesn't fit, you must have quit. And in 1996, wouldn't be a tomorrow's date in sports history if this wasn't brought up. The Houston Astros retire Nolan Ryan's number 34. Again, you still think it's weird to think of Nolan Ryan as an Astro being a Rangers fan?
Not necessarily, because, as a kid growing up and watching him play some of those years with the Astros, I remember seeing him wearing the fancy striped shirts back in the day.
All right, Matt, let's move it to NFL football for a brief moment. We'll close out taking a look at the West Virginia Mountaineers. They have a tough game coming up tomorrow, and a game that at the beginning of the season didn't look all that tough, but Texas Tech playing good football right now. They've cracked the top 25, find themselves in that number 25 spot right now. So we'll hear from head coach Dana Holgorsen after our Mountaineer report in the next break. Right now, let's talk some NFL football. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face off Sunday night against division rival and local team, the Baltimore Ravens. Should be a good matchup, but Pittsburgh, I'm not convinced, is that amazing of a football team this year.
No, but this is one of those matchups where, they always say, throw the records out the window. It doesn't matter what team might be favored. these two teams are absolute rivals. Typically, whoever comes out on top in these matchups is the one that gets the upper hand towards winning a division. And so, no, the Steelers have not looked real good through 3 games. But at the same time, they're 1-1-1, and a win over the Ravens could go a long way towards keeping them going in what they would say would be the right direction after a win over Tampa Bay.
All right, let's hear from Steeler head coach Mike Tomlin and what he expects to see from the Ravens on Sunday night.
It's AFC North football. We understand what that is. It's at home. We're excited about getting back in the Heinz Field. They got some new components, some things that we need to be concerned about. Really, they've overhauled their receiving core. Mike Crabtree and John Brown and Willie Snead are new to them, so we're getting familiar with them, their talents, their division of labor, how Joe Flacco utilizes them within the framework of their offense. Seeing a good, solid division of labor with their running backs, with Collins establishing himself as a primary ball carrier and Allen as a third down ball carrier. They utilize a number of tight ends and employ them in a variety of ways. Their spread ball has evolved, and, they're moving the ball very fluidly. I'd imagine they got to be, 1, 2, or 3 in the NFL in red zone offense. It seems like every possession I've looked at, they're getting points and putting points on the board. So that's going to be challenging. Obviously, defensively, familiar matchups, Suggs and company. We've been going at it with these guys, it seems like, forever now. It'll be familiar, but familiar will not frame the game in any way. You learn not to go into this thing with any preconceived notions. You better just prepare and play hard and anticipate in playing hard for 60 to 60-plus minutes, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Steeler head coach Mike Tomlin, the Steelers coming off a Monday night win last week when they barely held on to beat your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm interested to see what this game looks like on Sunday night, because I'm not sure the Ravens have played necessarily quality opponents that would indicate how good their record is.
Okay, but who has Pittsburgh played to this point? An up-and-coming Cleveland Browns team that finally got off the schneid after how many straight losses? And I mean, I look at who they've played, and you might say the same thing. I think the key part there is what Mike Tomlin said, and that is, just going out and doing whatever it takes to get the win. And that's what they did against Tampa Bay on Monday night. They forced turnovers, turned them into points, scored a bunch in the first half, and while it wasn't pretty in the second half and Tampa mounted that comeback, Steelers did what they had to do to get the win, and that's really all they care about. They've never been a team that necessarily goes down and wins in a glamorous fashion.
It's going to be a defensive battle, that's for sure, because these games always are between these AFC North rivals.
There'll be a few hits laid, I'm sure.
And probably several flags thrown if the NFL is going to stay consistent with what they've done to this point already this season. All right, Matt, we got to get in our last break of the show. This will include the Mountaineer Report with Tony Caridi taking a look at that Texas Tech-West Virginia game this weekend. We will take an in-depth look at that coming out of this break. May hear from head coach Dana Holgorsen, still trying to figure out whether we are going to have time to hear from the big man himself. But if not, we will definitely talk about it a little bit. This is Miller Time. You're listening to Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
My name is Ed Floyd, representing the Central Church of Christ located at 90 Waverly Court in Martinsburg, and I have a special invitation for you. Alan Webster, author of Heart to Heart and House to House, the special bulletin published by the Jacksonville, Alabama Church of Christ, for which Mr. Webster preaches, is our special speaker. He is well qualified and ready to preach the truth from God's Word. If you enjoyed reading Heart to Heart and House to House, which was mailed to some of you for the past 5 years, you will respect his teaching, and God's Word will have its way into your heart. Our meeting is October 7 through 11 at 7 p.m., Monday through Thursday. Sunday morning Bible study will be at 9:45, worship at 10:45, and our evening service will be at 6 p.m. Some of his topics are 4,000 years in 40 minutes, God's plan for saving man, marriage and the family. Will you please come and be our special guest for all of these services? Thank you.
Getting ready for a shootout. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
When you order your
your groceries online at Kroger.com or with the Kroger app. You can do your shopping anytime, anywhere, like the gym, the office, or your favorite comfy couch. Plus, when you visit Kroger.com, you can find hundreds of money-saving digital coupons. And whether you place your order on your phone, tablet, or computer, it's still your neighborhood Kroger. So you'll find all the fresh choices, low prices, and great deals you love. And once you've selected your coupons and finished your shopping, you choose a pickup time that fits your schedule. And relax while your order is hand-picked, just the way you like it. Then all you have to do is hop in the car and drive to the store's pickup location. And a friendly Kroger associate will load your specially picked order for you. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. It's so convenient. Save time. Shop online today at Kroger.com.
Travel day for the Mountaineer football team. West Virginia takes its longest trip of the conference season as they head to Lubbock for tomorrow's game against the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. As you probably know by now, Texas Tech likes to play very, very fast, and West Virginia defensive coordinator Tony Gibson says that presents some challenges.
This one's going to be a four-quarter game, and we're going to have to come up with a bunch of calls, and that's the one bad thing when you play a team like this, that they tempo you and they try to run 100 snaps. I run out of calls. I'm not that smart. I don't have that many calls, and then they get a beat on what you're doing, and then they start attacking that. So what we have to be good is disguising, showing something different, adding some pressures in, and just keep mixing it up that way. Keep them off balance.
On the other side, West Virginia will be led by quarterback Will Greer. He was asked what he thinks Texas Tech will do to the West Virginia offense.
I expect them to do a lot of different things. I expect them to to use their experience and get in different, coverages, blitzes, just jumping in and out of things. I think they have the ability to do that.
Well, everyone knows West Virginia for its passing game on offense. What about the running game? Kennedy McCoy has played really well so far this season.
It's definitely important to be able to establish your run game because you want everything to play off that. You don't want everything to play off of your pass game or be the opposite. You want to establish the run. You want to get guys to crowd the box, and then you want to open up more space on the edge to do that. So you want to play complementary football.
Should be a fun game tomorrow. Kickoff is set for high noon. Our pregame coverage here begins at 8:30. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from IMG.
Let's see. Load the clothes in the washing machine. Add detergent. Turn on the washer. Wait, where's all this water coming from? Oh, no!
Disasters happen. Fire, water, and natural disasters. Tell your insurance provider you prefer Blue Ridge Property Restore. Blue Ridge Property Restore, getting you back from disaster faster.
She's gonna kill me.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Welcome back into the jungle and or Miller time, depending on who you ask on a certain day. Matt Crawford here with you in studio. Matt Miller down in Charlestown getting ready for the pregame show of Martinsburg and Washington. We're sending you that way in just about 10 minutes before we go back to the high school level. We're going to talk some college football. Matt, let's start with WVU, and then we'll move on to the local game that is Shepherd hosting Concord. This game, when you looked at it in the preseason, before the season starts, even up to probably last week, you went WVU against Texas Tech. It's going to be a shootout, but WVU should really win that game. And I still think they are going to win that game, but definitely a different feel in this game than maybe just a couple weeks ago?
Well, certainly. The Red Raiders last week went to Oklahoma State, and their defense shut down the Cowboys, and their offense put up 41 points in a 41-17 victory. So Texas Tech has now won 3 straight after a season-opening loss. They're 3-1, 1-0 in the Big 12, have cracked the top 25 in the AP at number 25, and they've got a freshman quarterback who's thrown for 10 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. And so you put all of that together and say that WVU defense is going to be tested, and that means Will Grier and the offense are going to have to keep doing what they've been doing, and that's score points.
Well, last year, Will Grier and that offense scored 46 points, but the defense did give up 35, which, again, leads you to believe this is going to be a Big 12 shootout, which a lot of these games are.
Well, the Mountaineer defense certainly had a big game last week, shutting down Kansas State. Now, that's a totally different style of offense. I mean, K-State is a ground-and-pound type of an offense, a ball control type of an offense, as opposed to that really fast, get up and down the field, throw it all over the place Texas Tech offense. So they'll be tested in different ways, but you got to like what this Mountaineer defense has done so far, including last week's win, and now you got to hope that they can rise to the occasion in this one.
Head coach Dana Holgerson definitely hoping they can rise to the occasion. Let's hear from Coach Holgerson prior to the game this weekend.
Not surprised. He found himself another young quarterback that is as good as advertised for what I've seen. You know, ever since he stepped in against Ole Miss, they've been playing at a very high level offensively. You know, Cliff's doing a great job of mentoring that kid and training him, getting him ready to go, protecting him. They're doing a good job up front. All 5 guys are back from last year, and they're better, you know, running the ball adequately, a lot of run-pass stuff. And then just continue to reload at the receiver spot with guys that can make play. Their 2 wideouts are really good players. Wesley and Vasher, tall, matchup problems, and making a lot of plays. So we got to be ready for about anything with this group. And, you know, it'd be a huge challenge for us defensively, one that I know that we'll be ready for, completely different from what we've seen to date this year. So we're going to have to do a good job of giving our defense what we need practice-wise to get them prepared for what is a really, really different style of offense. And I know we'll be up for that challenge. Defensively, they continue to improve. Coach Gibbs is doing a good job out there. Coach Spav is doing a good job out there. They've calmed down a little bit with, you know, how much stuff that they're doing based on guys that are familiar with what they're doing. Their 2 linebackers, Brooks and Allen, are as good as we've seen. Those guys are really good players. You know, even 13, the Hill kid, got really good players that are making a lot of plays. You know, they do a lot of the same stuff that we do defensively with their front, just plugging gaps and letting those linebackers run and make plays, and they're good at it. So them getting their safety, Johnson, back last week was a huge shot in the arm for them. 4-year starter, team captain. Seems like he's been there forever. It's going to be a big challenge for us to figure out not only what they're doing, ID their fronts and block them up. Got to run the ball. Didn't run the ball very good against them last year, and we got to do a better job of getting that thing going. So big challenge for us. Looking forward to it.
Should be a good game down in Texas. And speaking of that run game, West Virginia going to look a little bit different, bringing back some of the same key players from last year, but adding that tight end or multiple tight ends going into this year should help their run game improve from what they did last year.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, Trayvon Wesco has done a nice job as one of those tight ends, the former Musselman standout, and so hopefully the Mountaineers will find ways to use him and the other tight ends, not only in the running game, but maybe get them the football in some open field and let those big guys rumble a little bit.
Again, that kickoff 12 noon, 8:30 pregame. You can catch all that action right here on Talk Radio WRNR. All right, let's move down to D2, where it is homecoming in Shepherdstown tomorrow. 12 noon kickoff between Shepherd and Concord. Shepherd moving in the right direction since that opening week loss, while Concord has lost 3 in a row and comes in at 1-3.
Yeah, Shepherd has certainly been playing very good football. I mean, you go back to the season opener, and they clearly made some mistakes, and it ended up costing them in that 2-point loss on the road against Notre Dame. But, came back the very next week with a very impressive win against Glenville State. And then last weekend, a very nice win against West Virginia State. And you got to feel like Shepherd has definitely the upper hand going into this one. They also don't lose much on that homecoming Saturday.
That game against West Virginia State is where I got my conversation started with head coach Ernie McCook earlier this week.
Great to go on the road, get a big win. Guys played well, much better than they did the week before on all three phases, offense, defense, special teams. Defense came out early, set the tone, was pretty stifling, stopped a really good offense, great running back, some great receivers, and thought they set the tone for the whole program.
Seems like the offense was clicking a little bit more in that first half. What did West Virginia State do in the second half that kind of changed up how the offense was moving?
Well, West Virginia State's got a good football team, and they got players that play hard, and Coach Pennington does a great job there. I think a lot of it was we shot ourselves in the foot. We were pressing, trying to make plays. We wanted to continue to score, and then we just got a little frustrated with not making some plays. Some stupid penalties hurt us. Those kind of things come back to bite you. It's a learning experience that we'll get better from.
If I'd have told you before the season started your true freshman quarterback would have won 2 of the first 3 offensive players of the week for the conference, what would your thoughts have been?
I would have said I would have taken it. Tyson, we knew Tyson was going to be a really good player for us, but to say that we would be able to predict these expectations, not really. But we're real pleased with him. And a lot of it, Tyson is a great football player and works really hard, but he's got some really good guys around him that have helped pick him up as well. With the receiving core, Wanye Allen, Ryan Feist, the tight ends, DJ Cornish, the running game. Those freshmen have come in the running game, done a nice job. So. We're pleased with the growth of the offense, but we got to continue to get better.
Concord on Saturday, what do you see in them coming in?
Hard-nosed football team, just like always. They're going to play really hard. They're going to give us some problems. They're going to try and take away the run. So I think it's going to obviously be a challenge. Their coach has been in the league a really long time. He's had a lot of experience against Shepherd. I think that he'll have his team ready to play, and I know we'll have a tough ball game on Saturday.
Always a good home atmosphere here, but with being homecoming on Saturday as well, how does that add to the intensity of the game?
Homecoming week is awesome. The greatest days on Shepherd's campus is home football games. I can say that as a head football coach. But homecoming, it's always great seeing our alumni come back. When we have a chance to make connections with guys you hadn't seen in a while, it brings back some great memories. That's always special. And we want to play well for those guys that are coming back and our alums and the former players that will be back being honored at halftime. I think there's several teams, championship teams, that will be back this Saturday being honored as well.
I hear aesthetically it's going to look a little bit different when Shepherd comes out of the locker room on Saturday. Talk about the new look.
We're always trying to do things to make the players feel good. And I think we've done a nice job at it this week, and you'll have to come to the game to see the new look.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck on Saturday. Talk to you after the game.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Shepherd head coach Ernie McCook. And Matt, that new look that I asked him about at the end, Shepherd going to be sporting some new jerseys on Saturday. The unofficial name, I believe, is the Ghost of Shepherdstown uniforms. All gray with blue numbers and blue up in that shoulder pad region. I showed you a picture earlier in the week, looking pretty sharp.
I'm not sure you were supposed to say that. Coach McCook sounded like he was kind of keeping that under the radar until people got there and went, whoa, I like these.
Well, social media already ruined that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, they do look sharp. I agree with you. They really do look nice. The helmet has a little bit of a darker feel to it as well. It's not quite that, shiny color. I told you it almost reminded me of something out of a Star Wars movie. It's got that kind of look to it, if you will. I like the look, and hopefully, hey, you know what they say? If you look good, you play good, right?
Look good, feel good, play good.
There it is.
And the helmets are the same. I think it may have just been the picture you were looking at. But
really?
The helmets are the exact same, yeah.
Look like they rubbed them down. That dirt they put on baseballs in the big leagues, to rub down the box. It looked like they rubbed the helmet down in something like that.
All right,
if
I would have told you that Urbana was going to be 4-1 coming into this week, what would you have said?
No.
Well, they beat Charleston last night. They are now 4-1.
Well, and see, that is a huge win because Charleston upset Fairmont just last week. So Fairmont State now has a loss. Charleston now has a loss. That means Notre Dame is that team up there without a loss. And, of course, Shepherd still has to play both of those teams. So you got to hope that somebody somewhere along the line maybe knocks off Notre Dame. And if Shepherd can win out and knock off these other teams, Shepherd certainly will put themselves in position to make another playoff appearance. I honestly think even if Notre Dame wins out and goes 11-0. If Shepherd wins out and goes 9-1, both of those teams out of the MEC will make the postseason.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. All right, Matt, just a few short seconds before sending it back your way. Again, this game, we're going to try to have it on TV 10 tonight. We're still trying to figure out all the opening kinks for this whole TV station side of everything, but hopefully video to go along with the audio tonight. Matt, have a good call and go Dogs.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Going to the pregame show with Matt Miller and Vic Holmes in just a few short minutes. News, weather at the top of the hour, then we'll send it back down to Charlestown. This has been Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Earlier this month, EMTs took a teacher aide away from a school near Martinsburg after her colleagues said they saw her behaving strangely.